If you want to write a successful application to the NIH, you need to make sure that you have a solid strategy in place before you start writing your grant. In this video, I'm going to walk you through those strategies that you need to have in place before you start writing. I'm Sarah Dobson. I am a grant writing expert, and I help early career researchers like you write show-stopping, outstanding grants to the NIH so that you can make an impact with your research and advance your career. All right, so in this video, we are talking strategy for your R01. So first of all, why is strategy important? Strategy is important so that you're not wasting your own time. It helps you figure out if you are eligible for the funding opportunity announcement. It helps you make sure that your program officer is aware of your research and is interested in the project that you're submitting. It helps you figure out how to make your application more competitive. And it really just sets the stage for an easier and more efficient grant writing process. So those are the reasons why you should start with strategy. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. So starting with strategy actually starts with having an outline of your project so that you know the big picture of not only why your research matters, but what you are actually going to do. And we usually do that through the specific aims page. And in a future video, we'll talk about more specific strategies around starting with your aims page. But that's a really good way to get a big picture overview of your entire proposal, is to start with your aims page. Another important component that you need to think about when you are starting with strategy is to get a good sense of the scoring criteria for the grant and make note of how your project meets those scoring criteria, because you want to have those in mind as you're writing your application. You also want to make sure that you're reaching out to your program officer and talking to them about whether your project is a good fit for the mission and priorities of the funding institute. But that brings us back, of course, to actually knowing which funding institute you're planning to target. So it's really important to do that strategic homework in advance to make sure that you are submitting your application to a funding institute that is going to want to see what you are proposing. The other strategic piece that you need to think about is not just from the funding institute side, but it's also from the peer review committee side. So which study section is going to be the right study section for you? That is another key strategic move that you need to make before you even start writing. You're also going to want to make sure that something similar hasn't been funded recently. So you want to go in and do some of your homework around figuring out if something similar has been funded recently, and that would mean that your project is not really in the cards for your funding institute. So again, in a future video, we're going to talk about how exactly to do that, but this is all homework that you can be doing before you even start writing your full application. Even if you do one of these things, it's going to make a huge difference to the overall competitiveness of your application. But if you do all of them, you are going to be miles ahead of everybody else. So let me know in the comments which of those strategies is one that you are going to implement in your next application. Now, if you want to learn how to make a plan and how to schedule your writing for your R01, make sure you watch the next video where I go through that in much more detail. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.